So we talk a lot about longevity on this channel because that's a pretty common interest. People want something that's going to last through the entire workday. And all of these fragrances have really good longevity. But just because something has good longevity doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to have a good scent trail and it's really going to leave a heavy impression in the air. Because sometimes you'll get something, that's an eau de toilette, and it'll have really good longevity, surprisingly, but then it just will kind of dissipate quickly. And even eau de parfums and parfums can be guilty of that as well. But we're not talking about those today. We're really focusing on fragrances that hang in the air. They're dense and they're rich, and they really leave an impression that lasts for quite a while. And this, to me, is way more favorable than projection as far as distance is concerned. Typically people want to know about projection and longevity. That's all they say. What's the projection? What's the longevity? I would take, really good scent trail abilities over far projection. I just think this is a lot more, useful as far as getting compliments, because if something's projecting across the room, nobody knows where it's coming from. But at least if it's kind of hanging around heavily within your scent bubble there, it's going to help people to narrow it down. So I'll link everything that I talk about today down below, but let's get things kicked off with a new Mancera. This one is Eternal Wood. Can't help but laugh at that name, Eternal Wood. So like I said, this just came out, and they seem to have launched 2 new releases this year so far. We've got this one, and we have Amberful, which I also have, but I haven't even opened it up yet. This is the first one I dove into. It's got toffee, tonka bean, amberwood, and saffron, along with what I believe is a gaiac wood, and then some oud. I don't think they officially list off oud, but you get it. It's that typical Mancera oud. A little bit synthetic, but very familiar, and they use it in pretty much all of their fragrances. Red tobacco, lemon mint, most of them, right? Besides like Cedrat Boisé and a few others where you don't really pick up on it. But the ones that do have a little bit of a woody smell, typically it's from an oud, and they all kind of smell similar. But it does have kind of a gourmand, sweet aspect to it as well, given the toffee and the vanilla and tonka bean and things like that. So it's a little bit gourmand and sweet, a little bit earthy and woody as well. So it's a little bit gourmand and sweet, but it's also a little bit earthy and woody also. Now, I'll be up front right now, this isn't my favorite Mancera. I don't think it ever will be in my top list, definitely not top 5 and probably not even top 10 either. However, it's not a bad scent either. But you got to think, Mancera has so many fragrances. So for something to make it into the top 10 favorites with their selection, it has to be really good. And this one isn't quite there for me, at least as of yet. However, it is absolutely crazy strong. I mean, just super potent. And this is merely an eau de parfum concentration as well. So I mean, if this ends up doing really well, or they just decide they want to proceed with an intense version like they've been doing here recently at some point in time, it's only going to get even stronger than there. But this eau de parfum is plenty strong. Not only does it have great longevity, but more importantly here for this video, it leaves a heavy cloud in the air. You can't get away from it. Next up, we have Invictus Victory Elixir by Paco Rabanne. So this was before Paco was removed, because it says here on the bottle, Paco Rabanne. Like I said, the new Invictus Aqua 2024, they removed that. So they are kind of changing over, doing a slight rebrand, I suppose. Either way, this is going to be one of the last Paco Rabanne Invictus fragrances. Now, this one, to me, it's one of the best Invictuses that we've had, right? Invictuses, however that should be said as plural. I think this is one of the best flankers, and I'm not talking Invictus Aqua because that's just completely different. I'm talking compared against like Invictus Legend, Invictus Intense, Invictus Victory, the original, and then all of the others that I'm probably missing. This one's got vanilla, incense, tonka bean, cardamom, really, really nice powerhouse sweet scent. And just like in true elixir style, it really lives up to that strong potency that a lot of them have. And it's not like any of the Invictus fragrances are inherently weak either. Most Paco Rabanne scents in general are very strong when you look at the Invictus and the 1 million and things like that. A lot of them are beast mode to begin with, but this one is no exception either. And it's really strong. So this one is a parfum intense. I don't know if that means eau de parfum intense or if it's a true parfum concentration. I don't know off the top of my head. I'm just going off of what it says on the bottle. Neither here nor there. It's a very strong performer with great longevity and then also really, really good potency and sillage. I mean, you could spray this one up in the air, just not putting it on skin, and it's going to hang for a long time. But especially when you get this and any of the others on your skin, you start getting that body heat applied to it and you start moving around, you'll see that it just hangs like nothing else. Next up, we have Herrera Bad Boy Extreme. We've got cacao, patchouli, tonka bean in here. Definitely kind of seeing a trend with that tonka. You know, I mean, it's just, as far as sweet fragrances go for newer releases, it's all over the place. You really can't get away from it. It's nothing new either, of course, but especially here recently, it's like bergamot. You just can't get away from it. Or ambroxan, I guess, too, these days. This is yet another really good release that is easily overlooked because you might not have liked the original Bad Boy that much, but don't let that discourage you from the rest of the line. I think the Le Parfum is really good, and I think this Extreme might even be a bit better. And I really like the Le Parfum a lot too. But wow, that is fantastic. That sweet, kind of dusty, powdery, chocolatey note off the opening sets this one apart and smells great. Get a nice patchouli as it dries down further, which kind of gives it a push back over into the masculine zone, because a lot of these sweet fragrances without any sort of balance can end up being pretty sweet and kind of unisex or even feminine smelling if they're not trying to work in some woods or some darker, heavier notes as well. But they do strike a really good balance here. This is worlds better than the original, okay? So don't even, you know, think of the original, right? I don't really like that one a whole lot either, and the bottles are probably, you know, some people might think they're tacky. I get that. But if you look past the vanity side of things and you look past the original, you stumble across a really, really solid and relatively unique fragrance, great for fall and winter time with great performance, great scent trail. Now, if what we've covered here are too, you know, mainstream and they're designers that everybody wears, you know, maybe that's how you feel. This next one is not like that. You can't convince me that it's like that, and it will never be like that. So again, if you want something different, this is it. But also, I've seen where people say that even this is a bit too different. So there's always that push and pull of people say one thing, but then it seems like they mean another. It's Lalique Ombre Noir. So Lalique obviously is a designer brand, right? But really though, I mean, they've got some really, really solid fragrances at pretty good prices. You know, the Encre Noirs are $20 to $30. This one's a bit more, like $60 to $70, but still smells a lot more expensive than that. It's got cognac, tobacco, cinnamon, myrrh, and olibanum. A fantastic, smoky, woody, boozy, sexy and mysterious evening scent that is just truly one of a kind. There is nothing else out there that's going to remind you of Ombre Noir. So this is it right here. You know, there's even kind of a honey note in here that I pick up on. Just kind of a smooth, rich honey accord. And it's not listed off, but I get it. And it's almost like it would make sense, right? Because what typically is paired with tobacco, usually a honey note is not too far behind. And so it would make sense if maybe they snuck that in there and maybe didn't list it off, or maybe it is listed off and I just don't realize it. But like a honey, tobacco, cognac, sweet, syrupy smell, it is phenomenal. And I mean, really, you can see why not every single person is going to like this, right? Because it's not necessarily overly daring or challenging, but it also isn't Invictus Victory Elixir either. You know, their main focus here is not to appeal to as many people as possible necessarily, like a lot of these big designer brands. I think they're just trying to be a bit more creative, and it shows. So again, if you want something unique, this is it. If you don't, this isn't it. But one thing that we can all agree on, at least, you know, if your skin chemistry will be accepting of this one, is that it does have a really good potent scent cloud. So this is one that's hard to get away from. Back over to the more, you know, mainstream, mass-pleasing side of things with Armani Stronger With You Tobacco. This has tobacco, no surprise, chestnut, and some vanilla. You know, so the chestnut, it was there in the eau de toilette, it was there in the Absolute, Parfum, absolutely, right? They took it away in the intensely version, I believe, or at least they just, redacted it from the note breakdown. But, that one had a toffee instead, but I digress. Chestnut has been a pretty prominent figure throughout the Stronger With You lineup, and they're using it here, and you do pick up on it, kind of giving it that modern style, semi-gourmand, sweet, nutty smell, which also is being used in Gentleman Reserve Privé. When it's done right, it really adds a nice bit of character and texture to a scent. And then the main star of the show here is tobacco, and it's a really good tobacco scent as well. Definitely where if you like tobacco, you're going to pick up on it and you're going to appreciate it. If you're not super wild about the note of tobacco and perfumery, then this is likely going to be something that you're not going to be excited about. And I bring that up, it might sound obvious because it's called tobacco. But sometimes these, flankers that are named after a specific note, they don't always really focus on that note. Like you might barely pick up on it, but that's not the case here. You do get the tobacco, so be warned with that. It's a great performer, great longevity, great scent trail, great heavy scent cloud. This stuff hangs in the air. It's perfect for the cold weather. Next up, we have Eros Flame by Versace. What's going on with Eros energy, right? Because when you look at it online, that yellow bottle, note breakdown looks like summer. It's August, almost in the middle of August. No Eros energy yet. And, I'm sure other countries have it, but by the time we get it, and a lot of places here in the US, it's going to be cold outside, is what it's looking like. Maybe September-ish is I would imagine when it's going to pop up, probably end of August. That's weird, but oh well. Now, Eros Flame, kind of back on track here, it's one of the best releases by Versace for the Eros line. I don't really think the eau de parfum brings a whole lot of value, to be honest with you. I think if you're wanting to get Eros, get the parfum and get Flame. And by that accord, I also don't really think you need to buy the eau de toilette anymore. It just doesn't make sense when you can get the parfum for a really good price now. I've seen it down into the 50s for 100 ml, which is a great deal. It performs better. And Flame is a bit more unique than those two. So you kind of lose that really sweet, minty, green, stringent type of smell, if you will, with this one here, because you get some orange, some lemon, pepper, and vanilla. So a little bit of a spiciness up top, nice sweet vanilla, but the orange, the lemon, that nice kind of fruity, citrusy take, it just gives it a bit more of a creamy, lighter, a more appealing smell off the opening because, Eros, love it or hate it, one of the most popular men's fragrances out there. One of the key things that people were pushing back on was that mint vanilla bomb, that just really stringent kind of sweetness and green kick that you would get. This one's a lot more smooth and creamy off the top, and I do find it to be a lot more enjoyable and pleasant than the original. And I also think, if you didn't like the original Eros, maybe there's a small percent of chance that you would appreciate Flame. It's a really, really good take. And when I first got it, I wasn't super thrilled about it, but over the years, I've really come to love this one. And again, it's in this video for a reason. Great heavy scent trail. Okay, next up, we're gonna go for one that is just very strong as well, like most of these are, but this is kind of on that Mancera level of strength, like we talked about in the beginning, Eternal Wood. I mean, this stuff is just, you can't get away from it no matter how hard you try. If you want to wash this one off, you're going to be scrubbing. You're going to need a lot of soap and hot water to get it off, right? But, if you're trying to stand out and leave a heavy scent trail, this is the type of thing that you would really want to invest in because it is an investment. It's Layton exclusif. It's got Gaiac wood, almond, vanilla, and coffee. And don't think that's all because there are way more notes as well. I'm just not going to list them all off because I think those are kind of the main ones that you want to focus on. I did a video way back comparing this to Layton, and I think the general consensus is that this is a niche version of Layton, which sounds stupid because Layton is also niche. Parfums de Marly is a niche brand, but I think we could all agree that the Layton DNA is not niche as far as challenging or uniqueness is concerned. And that is not me hating on Layton because anybody who's watched any of my videos knows I love that stuff and I promote Layton and Layton clones anytime I can fit them into a video that makes sense because I love the DNA. I really do think Layton is kind of like the next Invictus. It has been for a while as far as a niche fragrance that's gotten super popular because it gets compliments. That is the Layton DNA. Again, whether you're buying the real one or any of the clones, most of the clones are really good and affordable. You just got to have something like it in your collection. But again, not everybody's going to want that really common kind of modernized sweet smell. You might want something a bit more challenging, and that's where Layton Exclusif comes into play. Just an absolute monster performer that you should definitely look into. Now, back when I bought this was the only size that was available. So it's this, what is it, 75? Yeah, 75, 2.5 fluid ounce. That was all they had. That's all they were making back in the day. Now they've come out with a full 125, so you can go that way if you want. It's so strong, a lot of you might just need this small bottle. I don't even need a bottle this big, right? With all the stuff I have and how strong it is, you could get a 30 ml and be set. But just some options for you. We're going to finish this video with Armani Code Eau de Parfum. This is the 2024 version. Very important because this is modern day Armani Code Profumo. I already did my review on this one. I wanted to jump straight into a review because I wanted to give performance data rather than the first impressions. And so you can catch up on that. But what I will kind of brief you with here is that no, this is not as strong as the OG Profumo. It's not quite there. Okay, that one was known for its really beast mode presentation and delivery. This one is not quite on that level. However, it is still a really good performer. Longevity is good because, it's an eau de parfum, and that's, a lot of times going to be better than eau de toilette. But also, that trail is really good. Really just kind of leaves a cloud in the air. Now remember, the original Code Profumo was a parfum, so they have that working with it. The same with Armani Code Absolute. They were both parfums, complete powerhouses. So we've taken kind of a downgrade in concentration here, although don't be too worried about it. It's still going to be a solid performer that gets you tons of compliments in the cooler weather. This one's available now only on full retail for the time being, but it will work its way into discounters eventually. If you want Code Profumo back, this is it. Alrighty guys, that's going to do it for me. Some strong performing fragrances that leave a heavy trail in the air that you just can't get away from. And I'll be fully transparent right now. I've been spraying most of these down here, and I'm in a basement with no ventilation, so it's hurting my head. I'm not lying about the ability that these have to leave a trail. It's kind of miserable to be down here. So I'm going to finish this up. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. Links will be down below. I've got a mailing list and texting list you can sign up to down below as well if you want to be notified of when rare, discontinued, and hard to find fragrances come into stock. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you tomorrow with another one. Take care.